Greetings and salutations, one and all. Welcome to Part 1, Episode 1, The Siege of Middenheim. Glad you all could be here. My name's Mankey Games. Jordan, aka Mankey Games on the internet. I'm going to take you on a wonderful journey through the Siege of Middenheim. Now, for those of you that may not understand what's going on, this is the first part that you've seen of this series. This is going to be, hopefully, a somewhat condensed portion, an adventure, if you will, with 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and it's going to take place in the world of Warhammer, in addition to the fact that the players in this game have all been part of my crew for a very long time. They have played 50 episodes of content leading up to this. This is meant to be the culmination, the climax of all of the story elements that have come and what will now be completed within this short adventure arc. And for those of you that may be watching this on YouTube and wonder why it's separated, it's because this is going to be a good introduction to Dungeons & Dragons, somewhat mid to high level play. So I would just like to throw it out there that it's going to be pretty directed, pretty action-packed, should make for some entertaining watching. But what will be missing from this particular game is going to be the introductions of the characters. All of these players know 100% what their characters are. We've met them before, and all of their journeys and all of the context for why they're here will be probably a little bit lessened if you're just starting here right now. If it's something that interests you, however, you can always go check out the other series called Siege of the Empire Part 2, where these characters started. And there's 50 episodes of it, and you'll have plenty of fun doing that as well. But this is going to be its own separate thing that is going to involve the incredible journey of this party, the climax of this mission, and should provide some great action-packed entertainment for everybody. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump on Discord, and we're going to find out from all of our players how they've been this week. We're going to do our normal intro, just like we would do for any other scenario. And then we're going to jump right into the action that I have brewed up for these individuals. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and I hope you all enjoy it. So, without further ado, let's see how our party's been. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you all today?
Fantastic.
Good. Good, fantastic. That is great to hear. Jackson will be here within 5 to 10 minutes. He's just a little bit late. Apparently, he was moving today. So, he will be momentarily with us. So, in the interest of that, let's go ahead and just kick off starting to figure out what's going to happen here in this game. As I've explained to all of you, this is going to start, kind of be the climactic short little adventure path, and I say short, but we'll probably stretch it out over like 10 episodes because that's what we like to do, of the culmination of our second act here until we move on to bigger and better things, hopefully. So let's figure out how everybody's been doing this week. I'm gonna start from the bottom. Hopefully Jackson arrives before it's his turn anyway. Liam, tell us about you. How have you been, sir? What's been going on? Great talk. Dalton, why don't you tell us how you've been and what's been going on with you this week?
Well, I just woke up from a nap, so...
Hey, at least you woke up.
Yes. I was trying to be on the verge of, like, waking up a little beforehand, so...
Sometimes, we cannot hear you now. Sometimes, players don't wake up for games.
Yes, I've done it numerous times. It is called bad sleep, and I have gotten slightly better sleep, and at least I wake up. So you have that.
True, good point.
But a little tired, mostly from dehydration, mainly.
I heard that there's this miracle remedy called water.
That's why
tends
that's why I got water.
Tends to help with that. Liam, let's test your sound settings.
How are we doing now?
Hey, there he is.
Sound better because we can actually hear you.
There he is.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's been happening to me a lot lately.
Discord, the latest update of Discord, I've noticed, it's happened to me a couple times on Discord as well, so it's not an isolated incident.
It's because they're implementing their video system.
Yeah, I heard a couple of users got access to that. I didn't, which doesn't matter because I don't really use video yet, and don't really plan on it because I don't think it adds a terrible amount to these types of scenarios.
But you won't get to see me, and that's a great.
Yeah, but see, I can also not wear pants right now, so
Yep.
True.
I mean,
true.
depending on how you got the camera set up, there's no necessary reason for you to wear pants regardless.
True. That seems like an undue risk that I would just forget and stand up one time to go do something.
Yep.
So, anyway.
No, I get you. But,
Nothing else going on, Dalton, this week?
A lot of personal drama, but other than that, it might be going on the upside. So who knows? We'll have to see and wait.
Good. Glad to hear things are getting better.
Maybe. Not sure yet. We'll see though.
I will keep my fingers crossed. Will, good morning.
Hello.
How are you doing? Tell us about your 2 weeks since we haven't talked to you forever.
Yeah, I've been good. I'm currently home alone right now, so I can forcibly double up on no pants week, which is good.
It's good, yeah. It's good. Good stuff.
Yeah, archery's almost to an end. Sad face, but that was still going strong.
Do you have those archer muscles yet?
No, because after each week, my back just hurts. Just.
You've entered old man status.
But yeah, not much going on. Which
Fantastic.
no news is good news, I guess.
No news is good news, I think, in this scenario, yes. That seems accurate. Brian, how have you been? How has your week been?
Very good. Not a big week. Pretty easy week. Re-downloaded Dragon Age Inquisition because I don't know. I don't know if it was a good choice or a bad choice. We will
It's always a
find
good choice.
out sooner or later.
I mean, it's a good game.
Yeah.
Fuck the haters, it's a good game.
Never finished it though, so that's the problem here. Aside from that, also downloaded Sniper Elite 4 because I have to. And aside from that, it's been a pretty fun week. Not too exciting, but super excited for the game. So, yeah.
Being excited for the game is good.
Yeah, Kree. It's been a while. I miss him.
Yeah, we got some. I think we got some Kree-related antics very soon after our intro here. Well, that's great. Megan, hello.
Hi, hello.
How have you been? What's been going on with your week?
I have not done anything this week at all. I actually no, that's not true. I went into work once or twice to clean and organize some things for a couple of hours.
You've been assigned your classroom?
What?
Have you been assigned your classroom?
Like a place to be or students?
A place to be.
I always have the same classroom. I've had the same classroom for the past 8 years. So, it's basically though, over the summer they make you put everything away so that they can do the floors and paint the walls and basically Clorox all the things. So basically that at the end of the year equates to me shoving stuff in cabinets and not really taking the time to organize things appropriately. So at the beginning of every year, you then go in once everything is clean and take everything out of the cabinets and actually organize it and put things where they need to go. So I've just been doing a little bit of that this week since I basically only have 1 and a few days of summer, 1 week and a few days of summer left, which is sad. But it is what it is.
That is extra sad.
Isn't it extra sad? It makes me
Agreed.
like really upset, but whatever, it's fine.
The teachers care more about summer than the kids.
100%. But yeah, I mean, but I don't know. We've been playing a lone wolf run of Divinity because reasons. I don't know. Because we can, I guess. And that's been interesting. It's kind of feels different than the other ones for sure. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. Nothing interesting.
That's fantastic. Liam, now that we can hear you,
Howdy.
how have you been? What's been going on?
I've been pretty good. Got an update from the people that I'm hoping for a job from, saying that they are still working on it, but they are even slower than they expected, so I have to wait longer on that. I'm cat sitting. I've been marathoning Avatar with a friend, and so learning about, I'm now being encouraged to either run a campaign or invent a system that would be appropriate for Avatar: The Last Airbender style adventures.
Metal bending, all
Two
day.
things. Two things. One, is this the first time you ever watched Avatar?
It's the first time I've seen it all the way through.
Okay, all right, but you've seen like episodes and clips.
First
and bits and
episode,
pieces.
first season. Yeah.
Okay, so the first. Okay, well you're in
We're
for a
on
treat
Korra
then.
now.
Oh, you've already made it
Yeah,
all the way through. You're on Korra. Okay, good. Second thing is Mutants and Masterminds is probably what you want.
Really?
Yeah, because they do like superhero, but you can also do kind of a street level superhero game, and the powers are very open, so you can literally make like your own techniques as long as you as the GM kind of filter it into you're an airbender, you're a firebender, you're an earthbender.
Right.
Everything
right.
has to deal with that.
Interesting.
But yeah, it would be pretty easy to emulate like the abilities you see in Avatar in that system.
Metal, blood, swamp, sand, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Any of the other things.
The fun
It's
ones.
one of those games that can easily be broken. So you have to kind of rein it in as the GM a little bit, like put some pretty solid like gates on how powerful abilities actually are going to be. But yeah, I think that would be a really good system for that. I don't know. I think there is probably a D20 hack of Avatar, but Avatar doesn't feel like a D20 game to me.
No.
At all.
No. And I mean, I haven't played Mutants and Masterminds, but it sounds a lot like Big Eyes Small Mouth, which I do know for some reason, which has the same sort of flexibility.
Yeah, I
It
think
is
that's
literally billed as the anime role-playing game.
Yeah, Mutants and Masterminds has like a bunch of anime supplements as well to do that sort of thing, which is another thing you can obviously pull from because at its core, it's basically an anime.
Oh yeah, they know that.
Yeah, they're aware. But yeah, it's a good system to do it, I would say, if I were giving suggestions on it.
Cool. Anyway, other than that, I am cat sitting and she's adorable.
Hey, kitty.
Kitties are adorable. My cats have been fighting today, in particular, actually. Well, because like, it's so weird. I don't know what. I honestly think the youngest, the little boy, I think he's legitimately dumb. I think he's just dumb. Because
instead to be dumb.
Well, Patches, the middle child, she has spots, right? There's a couple of very specific spots she lays down and sleeps at. And she was laying down and sleeping in one of her spots, and he knows it's her spot, and it's on the bed, and so he jumps up on the bed right next to her, and then she hisses and screeches and slaps him like 1,000 times, and then he just stands there with his eyes closed and doesn't move. He's like, I don't think he knows what to do.
Shit, this is an interesting part that I walked in on. Who's getting hit?
My cat. And so
we're not talking about the game yet. Okay.
He just stands there and he's just getting slapped in the face. And she's just growling and hissing, and he like freezes and doesn't move and closes his eyes. And then eventually when she realizes he's not going to go away, she gets up and runs away. And then he looks at me like, what happened? And I'm like, well, you were an idiot. Like, don't interrupt her when she's napping. He's real dumb, I think. Pretty sure. Pretty for certain. Or he just doesn't care. One of those two things are true.
One's cool, one's rather stupid.
Yeah, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, I don't think. Jackson, hello. Welcome.
Hey.
Would you like to tell us how your week has been?
Oh, it was
Actually,
awesome.
2 weeks, because we haven't talked to you since 2 weeks ago.
That's right. Moving into my apartment, graduate school, yeah. And yeah, and I went to go see Jim Jeffries. That's why I missed.
How was that?
Mhm.
It was amazing. He told a 4-year-old girl that for some reason was in the audience to show him his tits.
That's
Deeply
So-
unsettling.
Yeah, that sounds arrestable.
Yeah, no, well, it was like it was a really weird thing. Like, this couple brought their kid, and he had just made a joke about like dead babies, and he all of a sudden he hears like somebody crying, and he goes, "All right, is somebody making fun of me, or is there an actual baby here?" And this couple goes, "Yeah, we brought our kid," and the guy goes, "You are horrible parents. Why are you doing this?" Then he like sits down in the chair that he's brought out. How old's the kid? At least 4. That's even worse.
Wow.
It was fantastic. But yeah, it was funny. It was a lot of fun. I was in St. Louis at the time, so basically just spent a lot of time doing that. Went to go see Annabelle, and somebody brought their special needs child to it. So
So you've had some interesting interactions in the past 2 weeks, is what you're saying.
yeah, especially with that woman. Good lord, she did not like me talking to her.
All right. I don't think I need context for that.
Oh no, I just told him that it's not, and you shouldn't take your kid to that. It's too overstimulating.
You're probably right.
Yeah, like the kid was like whining and crying every single time something would happen. So, anyway, my week has been full of ups and downs, ups and downs, but hopefully we're good.
Hopefully we are good. My week has consisted of Divinity. I spent all day kind of... I mean, I already kind of knew what was going to happen for the game today, but I spent all day like actually putting it down on paper, and it made me realize that I think that there may be some spark there for making a module of what I have planned here, because once I started outlining it, I realized that there are a couple of key like phases to what I want to do in the upcoming sessions, and it's kind of I accidentally on purpose structured it somewhat like a Dignity module would be structured. It's just all coming from my brain and is a little bit more personal because all of you guys have 50 sessions of gameplay, which, by the way, that's how many sessions. This is technically number 51 of this current arc.
Woo!
So, but it is one of the actual siege itself. So, to preface this for all of you, I kind of gave you some like what the intention is. The intention is to clean up, either good or bad, the ending of the arc and what we've kind of been building up to, going through the city of Middenheim and preparing all of our preparations and all that other fun stuff. And so one thing I do want to stress is there is definitely going to be there's going to be a little bit of I would say advancement here. I don't want to call it like, it's not railroading in the traditional sense that we would understand as railroading, but because of the way it's set up, there are going to be a certain number of like plot points that are going to happen regardless of how you interact with them. Now, you can obviously change the outcome of them, as you always could, no matter what. But it is important for me to mention to the group of you that like where we start and the things that happen are all going to be somewhat set, because it's all going to kind of occur, and then you guys can affect it from then. Also, it's also going to be dangerous. I've had some conversations individually with some of you about your individual goals and what's going on, and there's the potential for character death. Absolutely. I mean, it wouldn't feel true and wouldn't feel tense if there wasn't. As you all know, I'm not afraid to kill a character in a cavern by some random Skaven.
Or
don't worry, I've been on the edge of death for every single combat we've had. So,
or don't forget about the brutalization of thugs. Remember, thugs.
Yeah,
don't fuck with them.
don't mess with thugs. But also, there's going to be some narrative abstraction here as well, because if the group of us attempted to play out every scene that would occur in the siege of a giant city, it would take us 10 sessions to do the first battle. So I'm going to be using a mixture of the revitalized system that we used in the past with like the mass battle rules that I was using, where it's narratively abstracted. If your character is in that battle, they can try and perform different actions creatively to affect the outcome. In addition, there's going to be at least one specific aspect of the entire kind of series, the arc, that is going to affect or be part of one of your characters specifically. It'll tie to you personally, based on your beliefs, goals, etc., etc. Now, it may be something that you didn't foresee coming, but still is kind of affecting you as a character. So I think that the most important place to start here is with a recap of kind of what led up to this immediate point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull everybody over to the Middenheim map, which you should see I've cleaned up a little bit. I've taken all the somewhat not important locations off. Now, moving characters and moving tokens is going to matter, and essentially, I'm going to spoil this, I guess, if you consider it a spoiler. It's gonna be a take and hold type of scenario for the next couple of weeks. Kind of marching your way, fighting battles through the districts, seizing and controlling them, being attacked on certain aspects, and it's going to be a fight through the city that will probably span in game time probably a week or two, depending on how long it actually takes. So for those of you that may be worried about like resources, because as we all know, Dungeons & Dragons is an attrition game, there will definitely be downtime as well. It's not going to be constant fight. You'll have opportunities to have downtime of your own, to handle narrative scenes, to handle interactions with NPCs between yourselves, to try and, progress or build up into the next phase of the fight. With obviously the eventual goal of all the NPCs and players of retaking the city and driving out all the demons and undead, right? Like that's the culmination of what we want to happen here. In whatever way that happens might depend on how you guys decide to play it. So, things that we know. Some things that we know are the two most accessible gates at this time are going to be the West Gate and the South Gate. However, there are some complications with that. The West Gate being mostly that to move most of the army up there, it would waste a lot of time and make you very vulnerable to a counterattack, because you're moving through the marshes, and with heavy armor or peasantry or any of the other units that you guys are currently have in your possession, it's probably not going to be the most efficient way of doing it. Unfortunately, the South Gate also has this strange demonic living energy coming from the gate now. Whatever the spellcasters have done to that gate, it's definitely developed something quite bad, let's say. I don't want to spoil it because I want it to come up in the game during phase 2 of this particular scenario. But not having a lot of information on it means that it is, 1, dangerous, and 2, potentially catastrophic. As far as what it can actually do, is the gate going to just eat everybody that goes through it? Is it going to fire a giant fucking demonic blast and kill everybody on the bridge? Like, you don't really know what's going to happen there.
Firing my laser.
Yeah, exactly. It might just burp a laser out and incinerate the entire opposing army. So for those are the 2 most accessible points. Some other things that we know for sure are at the north end of the city, the North Gate, while relatively unprotected, has a lot of traffic, and outside of the North Gate is where all of the rest of the Horde sits. And so one other key aspect of what's happening here is kind of stopping the Horde from reinforcing the city. Because the longer that the North Gate sits open, the more reinforcements can just constantly stream in from outside to affect you guys, even if you're able to get into the city in the first place. So that's obviously a problem that needs to be handled, preferably sooner rather than later. In addition to some other things that we know, Jericho and I should say the Bardic duo, the Bardic duo last week was able to determine some very key information to things that might help turn the tide of the battle, right? The Bardners, there you go. Some of them including the fact actual numbers of the Horde that's outside. But probably I would say the most important information that they received is that there's a high value prisoner in the palace. That is under like constant guard from, a couple dozen high level individuals, including like whatever magical barriers they have erected to contain this prisoner, whoever it may be. And it's probably a scenario where the enemy of my enemy is my friend, regardless of who or what might be in there. We've gotten some hints, and there's some definite, things we can infer from that. But until you see it with your own eyes, I know none of you believe anything I tell you. Because I'm liable to just lie to you, because I can do that. Another thing that we know is there was at one point some nefarious magic casting / ritual to summon an undead dragon and control it against the populace. Now, that plan was thwarted quite early, but unfortunately that individual is still active somewhere in the city. And will probably require dealing with sooner rather than later, because allowing a high-level wizard like that to just kind of run around willy-nilly is going to probably cause some issues.
Maybe. Could be. Possible.
Some other things that we know are Anders is 100% for sure in the city. That's obviously important for the fact, probably in the palace, right? Like, that's more than likely all hints and fingers point in that direction for Anders's location. And then I think that the last, super important thing to note is, since we're on the subject of listing enemies, there's also this, shadowed lady that seems to have an uncanny ability to locate, at least specific members of the party at specific times. Now, who knows where or when she might appear? But one thing I think is for certain is that she will show her face at some point during the campaign here. And that's a known to everybody in the party. Everybody is aware of whatever force this is. Now, you may not be aware of who or what or why it exists. But there's certainly been some hints to that as well. So, before I get into what I'm calling phase 1 of this particular scenario, does anybody have any questions or anything that they think I missed? Anything that's important for the kind of culmination of all that? Does that sound like a pretty good overview?
Really quick.
Yeah.
Why am I hairless?
I forgot about that.
That was entirely my idea, and it never actually happened.
Okay, explain it to me. What was this idea? And all right, what? How
This
hairless
idea
am I?
was no. This idea was Jordan said Jackson's asking me if anyone's dead yet. Should I tell him? And my response was, you should tell him, but there's no way that what you should tell him is the truth. So just imply that we had to shave Hannibal for some reason.
Okay, why'd you shave me?
We didn't actually shave
It
you.
was.
Oh, you
I
fucker!
feel like-
I had a
Yeah.
plan for you.
It was literally just to mess with you.
Yep.
I haven't had
Literally,
time to
Glad
watch
Jericho
the
is
VOD.
back.
Literally just to mess with you. That's the only reason that exists.
Sure.
Just to prank, bro. Exactly.
Mm.
So, anything else? Anybody think that there's anything else important or notable to add in this scenario?
I mean, there's stuff that Jericho wants to raise in character, but nothing that I feel like I
Okay.
need to get at.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
So I think that the first scene that we're going to see, I'm using air quotes, first scene we're going to see is the group's like final chance to talk among one another prior to things really like kicking off and action and progression beginning to happen.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? You're making your final preparations. You know, the time is now, right? Like the longer you wait, the more prepared they're going to be. You need to act soon, but you have just the briefest of moments to interact with your party members before you are thrown amidst the fire, as it were.
Got it. I'm blowing up the North Bridge.
I mean, yes, but you should probably tell the rest of us first.
Yeah, exactly. In character, right?
So, people.
So where are we at the moment? Where have we?
Yeah.
You could be wherever you want to be in this scenario.
Okay.
Anyone have preferences other than my poor house?
I don't
If
know.
you have
Probably
anywhere else
the-
but your poorhouse.
Why don't
Suddenly
maybe
miraculously be
can we maybe
Thanks,
be
Jackson.
I don't know, fucking underground or something, maybe with the resistance, so that we can talk to them too.
Sure. Yeah, because they're an asset that you can use.
Right.
Sure enough. What was Farron saying?
Could we miraculously be in that room with the royalty that's been locked up? Just suddenly miraculously.
Sure,
be
but now
in
you're
that
also
room?
behind all the magical barriers, so good luck. Now there are 2 VIP prisoners
You
in the palace.
Hold up. I
Well-
don't think that they count as very important.
All right.
It was
You
a good
know,
chance. It was a good shot, Will.
I think Farron's going to be the most likely cause of Hannibal's death.
Wow, that's some great.
realize he's
That's
a-
a great foreboding there. Thank you.
You realize
Appreciate
he's
that.
about to attempt the largest scale demolition that we've seen in the world in years.
Yeah. Hundreds of years.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
Speaking of which,
Oh god.
uh,
So if we're convening,
Yeah.
What's the state of things as we know it? The army is how many days away? Half?
Yeah, they could attack soon, like at your command. They're probably like setting up camp now, within striking distance.
Good to
So
have
has it
Kree
been-
near us again at least.
real quick, has it been a day?
Yeah, everybody is full up on their thing. It's technically been a week, Hannibal.
Oh,
Everybody's full up on everything they could have been full up on.
okay. Sorry, I have some spell slots missing. So,
Yeah.
all right, and all right.
Yep.
So,
So I guess importantly to note, it's probably like the eve of or the day before the fall solstice, right? Like the autumn solstice. is probably within a day or two. Whenever we're done and action begins to occur, that's when it's going to occur, because you have determined that it's probably the best time to strike a blow for multiple reasons, right? Mostly being the seat of Ulrich, his power will be the greatest on that particular day.
Yep.
So it's the best chance to create a decisive victory before having to slog out the rest of the city. So yeah, continue, Jericho.
I was really hoping that we would be more prepared by this point, but so it goes. Hannibal, I take it you have some kind of horrifying secret plan to destroy the North Bridge?
I plan to blow it up. However, there's something I need to talk to you all about that.
Go on, Hannibal.
I'll be using Weirdstone to make a bomb.
I didn't need to know that. I could have lived happily the rest of my life without knowing that.
Well,
How
Good
this
luck.
will work. Yes, how this will work. There will be some lingering effects, which is why I will need to get far out onto the bridge to ensure that there are no civilian casualties.
Aylin's been moving as many civilians as she could.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be sure though, and I may be horrible, but I have no intention of mutating innocent civilians.
I wouldn't say you're horrible.
Hannibal turns
just
and is
morally
really
skewed.
Hannibal is touched by both of them.
All right, that's one bridge handled.
I will
Literally.
also need some. I would like it if one person could come with me anymore, and well, it would be trouble getting out.
Right. As far as the others go, we've got the lizard folk preparing to, make a feint at the west gate, right? Draw their attention, cause as much trouble as loudly as they can.
Yeah, that is set up.
Sounds about right.
That's a Kree thing.
Yeah. Obek isn't here anymore. Is he here?
Yeah, so you guys can't communicate directly with them, but you've given them the plan, right? The plan is make the feint on, around this time, or we'll send a signal, right? Like we'll, start a fire or something that will signal you to make your feint. Yeah.
So that leaves south and east. South, the problem being that the gate is a horrifying demonic construct of some kind that they're planning to unleash nightmarishly on our army when we try to march in through the easiest route. And west, which doesn't exist anymore. So, there are a couple of ways we can approach this, but the favored one, for my part at least, Aylin, how have you been doing in trying to contact any of the local clergy? Maybe an archbishop or two?
Well, I'm very close, but not anyone personally yet. I think within just a few more hours of searching, I could find somebody.
All right. Well, I want to say that should be our priority. I mean, if there was ever a chance that we could have a second miracle to undo the first one and raise the bridge again, this would be the time. It'd be a hell of a thing to suddenly give our entire army an entirely new and unexpected route into the city that would entirely bypass their monster door. I don't suppose, Aylin, I don't really know cleric business as well as I might, priests and all that. What are the chances that if you were to conduct the prayers, you might be able to elicit a response from Ulrich?
Ooh, well, this is Ulrich's seat. If anyone could raise a bridge, it would really have to be him. Certainly could try, but our best bet is to find those clerics.
Right.
So, as a refresher on finding the clerics as well, the last tip or hint you had gotten is at the astronomy tower. You had found these little carvings, or these little indentations, these little holes, these little sockets, if you will, both in the shape of the Sigmarite hammer and the wolf clad in armor, both symbolizing Sigmar and Ulrich respectively. And you had left an incense like kind of burning in that area.
And they quote unquote responded.
Yeah, and they responded by leaving incense as well, to know that friends. So you've made contact. It's simply a matter of kind of eliciting the plan. So you also, when you arrived at the statue of Ulrich, that had been shattered over the ground, you discovered that there were these figurines, both the Sigmarite hammer and the wolf clad in armor, that were in the hollowed out hands of the statue. Whatever that symbolism may mean, you take it to be that there are still friends abound. And then there was another clue there about Ulrich's garden, which was not really so much a clue as a mystery, an enigma wrapped inside of a mystery, wrapped inside of magical voodoo bullshit.
Yeah, seems about right.
And there were some clues there. You went to look for it, and like you have very like vague memories, almost as if you were walking in a dream for that period, and it's hard to like recall. It's like trying to hold water in your hands when you think about that search and how it went. So there's definitely something there, but obviously something that needs to be triggered prior to actually making a discovery. So yeah, that's the deal with that. Is there anything else that anybody wants to go over? There's the priority, from what it sounds like, the priority of making sure the clerics are aware of the path. If able to do that, I assume directing the armies to go to the East Gate. Right, and then having the feint from the West Gate, etc., etc.
And nuking the North.
And nuking the North Gate, right. Leaving the South Gate to simply just exist.
Speaking of which, I'm taking one volunteer. Feel free to choose amongst yourselves. I know you're all going to be fighting for it. FYI, there's a 50-50 chance this is a suicide mission. So, have fun.
Anybody else here know how to teleport with a friend?
That's what I know how to do.
Oh, good. I don't need to volunteer then.
That's why I can only want to bring one person.
No, solid choice. I feel like maybe I should be here to act as a liaison should any of our various potential allies in the city need to make contact, even if we haven't heard anything from them in a while.
Yeah. So the word has been spreading through the Resistance members, because it's another action that you guys have been taking. Is the Resistance members like, hey, cause chaos. This is when we're mobilizing, right? So there probably has been like some back and forth contact, some numbers, some information coming in, but that all changes at the start of the battle, right? Like, yeah. It's the no plan survives first contact with the enemy, right?
I suppose I will go with you, Hannibal.
All right.
So
first off, I need to go. We need to get there. Do I know the specifics? I'll make it. We talked about it, but
yeah.
Does Hannibal know?
So you would be aware that it's going to require communing, and doing the ritual abilities.
Yeah, but would I also know the time frame? I know that you said how it would work. Like,
yeah.
would I know that it would it wouldn't be a time situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You would,
Okay,
you would be
so
aware
in that
of
case, I'm gonna want to set up closer there so that we have some time to get to where we need
Yeah,
to.
so there's an entrance into the underground right at the
Mhm.
astronomy tower.
Astrology?
Or astrology. It's both.
It's not. There's completely different things.
Oh,
they're
God.
actually not though, because not only is it a place to observe the stars scientifically, but it is also a place to pay tribute to the deities who reside among them.
Yeah, it really does need another name.
Yeah, I bought a book of astrology once and was severely disappointed.
Anyways,
Again, like I said, it's actually both.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, so we're gonna need to do that.
yeah. Remind me, Jordan, that you said that there was whatever handful of knights within the resistance. That's not right. I remember you saying
Not within
something
the
like that.
resistance, within the vanguard.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah, within the vanguard. So they're with the lizardmen now,
Okay.
going to
Alright.
prepare their feint on the west gate.
Yes. All right then.
So as the downtime kind of concludes, and it gets to that point where just like talking about it more isn't going to make it so, and you also need to rest. So the group of you settles down in the most reasonable locations. Stress probably is at an all-time high if that's a thing that stresses you out. And as the group of you begin to slip into your respective downtime activities, each of you has a unique experience these upcoming moments prior to the beginning of the battle, or the beginning of the siege, I should say. So I think I want to start with you, Hannibal, because it's probably most important. Perhaps as you go to begin to make preparations, kind of the darkness from the being underground kind of envelops you, and you begin to kind of zone out, and you know, perhaps you are tired or exhausted or whatever have you. And I think that you slip into perhaps a daydream. And what you see is a vision of the North Ridge. And you see yourself kind of clad in a hooded cloak, hiding amongst the supply trains as you walk out. And you bend down and you prepare what is happening, and you retreat back to the city, and you ensure that innocents are turned away. Perhaps you're standing at the gate telling them to head back inside, like, you know, oh, they didn't need those supplies, like, you need to go back. You're trying to prevent people from actually leaving and going into what would be a dangerous area. And the sky erupts with this greenish glow, and as the device that you are intending on creating goes off, and you can hear the screams and shrieks of the undead and chaos daemons on the other side of the bridge erupt, and there's smoke and rubble and all of this. The sky, the whole bridge area is kind of filled with this black cloud of kind of profane energy. And as you know, your hood probably like flies off, and as you gaze into this smoky cloud, you see a figure emerging from it. And as you do, you're kind of pulled into like a third person perspective. You see like a shadowy figure that you recognize to be yourself, standing with, like, you know how in a dream there's like shadow figures, the people that may not actually be people you know, kind of standing arrayed next to you in, you know, solidarity. I think one you recognize as maybe vaguely Morella, because she said she would accompany you. And the large creature that kind of emerges from the smoke, you hear a voice, and it says, it's Shaltressa. And she says to you, "This is the Avatar, Zinch. This is how we slay him. Or at least send him back to the Chaos Realms. He will only appear after the detonation. And you kind of phase from vision, and maybe you like kind of shake yourself awake, and you look around, and the darkness kind of evens out around you.
My hand is shaking as I realize this is it. This is what's been culminating all these years, and it'll happen soon.
Yeah.
I'll finally be free, either by death or by completion of my contract.
Yeah, and you do the thing, right, where like you're looking, your hand is shaking, and then you just like close it into a fist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So we jump over to Aelin, I think, is probably the next important one here. And Aelin, you're resting peacefully, and you have a dream as well. This light descends upon you, and you recognize the warmth and embrace of what you recognize to be your deity, Shalia. And you're kind of lifted, like out-of-body experience style, into this kind of void area, where you recognize this like shimmering light. It's probably like a wisp that begins speaking to you. And it directs your attention kind of off into the void, where you can see there are two figures slowly materializing. And it says to you, "You will face a choice that will result in great loss." And as these figures are materializing, you recognize both of them. One of them appears to be Cahill, and the other one appears to be the Lady in Black, Shadow Woman. And they're standing next to each other, kind of passively, just staring off in your direction. And it says, "The choice is for you, and you alone to make. When darkness falls, compassion will save that which was lost. Look to the spirits to bring hope, and banish fear when it seems most dire. Go, my child. Succeed." And then the vision kind of fades out, and I think that you continue to sleep peacefully throughout the night, and only remember vividly that dream when you awaken. It doesn't like break you awake out of your sleep, because it's not really like super stressful, and I think that Shalia, or whatever this aspect of her is, allows you to get your rest for the night. But also probably you wake up with a sense of foreboding as well. When you do awaken to start your journey here, how does Aelin feel in that moment?
Well, I mean, I think this is the choice she's been making this entire time, right? Either to stay by one side or to, banish to the other. And so I actually feel like this isn't a surprise to her at all, and really was just a culmination of the thoughts she's been having the entire time she's been here.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like yep, it's finally happening. The choices finally have to be made, just kind of like Hannibal said.
Yeah, it affirms your resolve.
Indeed. Yep.
So, Morella, your dreams are probably, you actually, after this dream, you probably feel empowered. I think that during your dream, you find yourself to be in a very strong, muscular form in your dream. Stronger and bigger and bulkier than you would be in life. And I think that you realize that you are some type of large animal. Your senses are enhanced. You can smell things that you weren't able to smell before. You can hear things that you weren't able to hear before, and you feel warm. And if you look down at your legs, you see that there are giant paws, and you realize, I think, that you are a bear. And an image appears in the void of dreams where you see there is a wolf who shines brightly in the void. This kind of pure white color, but has streaks of red blood kind of coming out of multiple wounds. And you see there are these shadowy figures that are kind of rising up and striking at the wolf, and it's backed into a corner. And kind of moving not of your own volition, you in this form, you charge in and you begin batting and slashing at these shadowy figures and bashing them to the side. And eventually you're able to make your kind of carve your path through to this shining bright wolf, who looks at you, and you feel a sense of solidarity with that aspect. And then rising before you see a great host of shadowy figures, and the dream progresses between the you and the wolf fighting together side by side to carve a path through all of these. And you know, like in your soul, that there's a destination that you have to reach, but you're just not sure where it is. And I think that in the distance we see a speck of light, and as it grows brighter and brighter, we see it as it's a marble building, like a pure white marble building. It kind of rises above everything else, and we can see that as you begin running up the steps with the wolf following beside you, you see the largest shadowy figure yet, clad in this black steel armor, that has this sword that it pulls from a scabbard and points towards you, and you and the wolf run up and charge and leap on this figure, and as you do, it kind of zooms out, and we see that you have tracked blood along these pure white marble steps with your giant bare paws, and then the wolf also has tracked blood in that direction, seemingly not from yourself, though, not from any wounds that you have encountered. And I think that's where your dream subsides, and again, you remember it, somewhat vividly in the morning, when you awaken. What about you, Morella? When that image comes to mind, knowing what you know, what is your mindset going into the day?
I guess it's a bit of just calm expression, and there's only the words of, and so it begins.
Yeah. So I think that the next thing that we see is Farron. In your dreams, soft music begins to play, and I think that it goes from somewhat of a cheery melody and kind of drowns into sorrow a little bit, but also has like a bit of up-tempo, upbeat to it. And as this begins to shift through, you begin to like see the notes in your mind as they're playing. And I think that we see these white marble steps, and we recognize them from Morella's dream sequence, but we see these white marble steps, but this time there is a figure lying on the steps, face down, and we see it's a female figure, and we see that there is kind of matted blondish hair that's about shoulder length, kind of fallen in front of their face. You recognize it in that moment as Mel, and you're kind of hovering both third person. It's one of those dreams that you can't really affect too much, and you see her arms are splayed out to the side, and you see that there is blood pooling beneath her and kind of running down the steps, causing this bright contrast of this reddish blood running down the steps in the white marble staircase. And you see in her right hand, clenched, is what looks like a white feathery quill with blood soaked on her hand as well, almost as if it had been used to injure someone or something. And I think that for you in particular, you see that in your soul, you believe that whatever this scene is trying to express to you, while you don't know how it comes about or what happens with it, you understand it to be telling you that this is the sequence of events that needs to occur in order to succeed. So yours is perhaps a little bit more vague and dire than the rest. So you perhaps wake up to that. You kind of like, maybe your eyes just kind of flutter awake and you're in the darkness of the night, and remember that part of the dream. But I think yours slips away, so it's even a little more vague when you awaken. But you understand whatever that sequence of events was trying to regale to you. It's kind of like a premonition, I would say. You know that will or should be what happens in the future. And you're not really sure what the outcome of that will be, and you're not really sure what that even is going to do. But I think that's the information you get from that. So how do you feel when you... Probably a bit jarring to kind of like flutter awake, and maybe it was just a stress dream, who knows? Maybe you went to sleep thinking about Mel, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw a dream where Mel looked like at least she had died, which certainly isn't the most pleasant thing for Farron. Not at all. So, yeah, he's a bit not wholly shaken, but that kind of off-kilter feeling.
Yeah, and I think that keenly you remember there was a conversation that you had with Mel at some point, to which she said, I have a job to do while I'm here, and I need you to make sure that I'm allowed to do it. And so maybe those words ring out in your mind again after seeing this.
Oh boy.
So we move on to Jericho. Jericho, you probably have nightmares before, and this certainly seems like a nightmare. You can take from this what you will. It's not perhaps influenced by anything in particular, besides just simply being a stress stream. But I think that you envision kind of, you're somewhat like clairvoyant, floating above the city of Middenheim, and you see black smoke rising from various fires, and you hear the sounds of battle and dying and death throughout the streets of Middenheim. You understand what you're looking at is probably like an upcoming battle, or, you know, how the battle could go. And I think that you kind of flit in between different viewpoints of different villager or different like peasants in the city who are like running, and people are like going to hide in like strong homes, or people are trying to put out fires, or people are trying to go underground. You probably see some resistance soldiers like leading people away. You see some of the allied forces who are like protecting, fighting up and down the streets. You see some enemies who are, you know, viciously ending people's lives. And I think that the one thing that stands out clear to you is you see that same hooded figure. You're very aware of what this dread necromancer looks like, and you see what you recognize to be that figure. Appears to be standing in like a kind of sparsely wooded area, and you've lived in Middenheim your entire life. You recognize it to be the Great Park. And I think that in your dream, like, you see an opportunity to charge in and perhaps end the reign of this figure. And like, as you're doing that, we see the figure turns to you with these blue kind of inflamed eyes. And
blue eyes.
Yeah. Well, they're like on fire though this time. And I think that you perhaps startle awake from that as well, because that's kind of the end of the dream. Now, again, yours may not mean anything in particular, but it does seem oddly specific, perhaps, to you. Mm-hmm. But again, you've lived in Middenheim your whole life. You probably have met all the people you envisioned at some point in time. And it wouldn't be, I think, too much of a stretch to know that you have nightmares about the city on occasion. So,
right.
What's Jericho's reaction to that?
He's got very big things that he knows he needs to be focused on right now, but he still adds to his sort of mental checklist that he's going to see if he can get someone trustworthy to just sort of keep an eye on the Great Park and hopefully get a message to them if anyone suspicious is seen around there, such as a terrifyingly powerful necromancer performing profane rites.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So you like, maybe you make a little note so you don't forget the dream, right? You're like, you write a little note, like, make sure to have somebody watching the park. You like fold it up and tuck it in your pocket or whatever, and roll over and go back to sleep. Cool.
Yeah.
So the final one is Cree. Cree, you're in the swamp, and the sounds of the frogs and crickets and just the smells of kind of the sulfurous swamp is around you, which makes you feel comfortable, I'm sure. And you doze off to sleep, and your night of rest is quite fitful. And you have a dream prior to you awakening, where you are kind of floating through the clouds. And you can see that there's a little bit of a storm where it's kind of overcast. And you're just kind of floating through the clouds, and finally you dip down below the cloud cover. And you can see that there appears to be these men and women who are mounted and not mounted, charging up this bridge, this very long, wide bridge. And they're headed towards this gate, and you can hear the sounds of combat. There's two forces kind of meeting in the middle. And you see the gate that they are charging at. You see it kind of open, but not in a way that we would assume a gate would open. Instead, as it opens, we see that there is some image on the other side of it. And it glows slightly red, I think, in the dim lighting of the overcast day. And this confuses you because you don't have a whole lot of information on what that might be. But I think that what you see happen is you see pouring from the mouth of this gate, you see demon spawn charging outwards and meeting the force kind of head on and slowly pushing them back across the bridge. And you rise up again above the cloud cover, and you see that forming kind of in this sparkling, dazzling light above the cloud cover, kind of towards the direction of there. You see this beam of light that is molding into a shape, and you look closer and you recognize the shape to be that of your lance. And as you gaze deeper and deeper, you reach out your dream hand to touch it, and as soon as you make contact, you feel a strong like pull in your navel, and you are rocketed through the cloud cover, where you can see it splits apart in this great rending of the cloud cover, and this this great hole is open, and following behind you is this giant shaft of light as you charge, and you're flying, and you can feel the wind whipping at your face, and you can feel that you are somehow like magically attached to this glowing lance of light. And you get closer and closer, and you can see it's aimed directly at the gate, and when you strike the gate with this lance, there's a bright flash of light. And I think that the flash of light is somebody opens your tent flap, and it falls directly on your eyes, and you wake up. And you can see that it is one of your lieutenants, and he's telling you, it's time to awaken.
Kree he's already a slow person to wake, so he kind of gets out of his stupor, just recounting his dream, just kind of at a loss for words. It's perfect. And he looks over to his lance, that's still in its box, still covered. Mm-hmm. And he goes down and he prays to Chotek. He prays for luck in this battle, for power. Yeah. He has a feeling he's going to need it.
Absolutely.